Hello and welcome back to the roads of Elden Ring. Today we're going to explore the Abyssal Woods, the area that we just unlocked last episode. And oh boy, this is definitely thematically one of my favorite areas in the game. If you remember, last time we had a look at all of the three catacombs, and the final one, the Darklight Catacombs, ended up in this place over here, where we had the fight against the Inquisitor instead of a potential third Death Knight. So what's so special about the Abyssal Woods? First of all, this one expands the Frenzied Flame lore tremendously. If we have a look around, especially on the ground, we can see, very vaguely right now at least, weird orange pattern in the water. And if we have a look at the cliff sides over here, we can see the Frenzied Flame etched into the stone itself. And this is their, or From Software's, best attempt at a horror area. Because going through this area the first time is amazing. At least it was amazing for me. We also get all of these messages that say it awaits inside. And then if we are getting closer, we see more and more messages. The unfortunate part about this area is somewhat manifold. There are a few things here and there that make this area not that great. Turn back while you are yet able. Like all of these messages, these really set the tone. Plus, look at this forest over here, right? It looks like straight out of a horror game. But one of the few things, in my opinion, that hold this area back is definitely the day and night cycle, because it still works here. For the sakes of this video, I have freezed the time of day so that it's always night with this bluish tone right here. Because I think it's better at night. This is one of the areas that is definitely profiting from a darker atmosphere. Because when it's all bright, like, sure, you're not getting really sunlight in here, but during the day it's definitely a bit brighter and less creepy. And I mean, this area works because of its creep factor. It's also one of the only areas, I mean, it's the only area where Torrent is actually too afraid to carry you. You will get, I mean, there are many areas where you can't use Torrent because it's a dungeon or a legacy dungeon or something like that, right? But in this game, when you, or in this area, when you try to ride on Torrent, even though this is an open world area, it actually gives you the message that Torrent is too afraid. And why is that? Well, lore-wise, Frenzy Flame can burn away spirits, and Torrent is a spirit. So this is one of the areas where Torrent could, lore-wise, die. Of course, there are many more areas where Frenzied Flame is a thing, and in these areas Torrent was still kicking, right? For example, if we go into the main, to the base game area, we have a look at this area right here, where we have the Eye of Sauron, basically. A giant burning frenzied flame eye or fireball or whatever you want to call that thing. A Torrent is fine. But this just adds to the creep factor here. If everything works out... Nope. You can see it right here, the spectral steed is frightened and cannot be summoned. Even though I have cheat engine running, of course. I've turned on Ride Anywhere. So I guess we have to walk through this area, which is another factor, which is quite annoying. But let's read more messages here though. Don't let it see you. Once you are seen, there is no escape. And it cannot even be touched. And this is also here just to build tension. I mean, it's warning the player. But you're not going to turn back, are you? Right, you want to see it. If we have a look at the animals here, they're also affected by the frenzied flame. Very cool thing. Very, very cool. If we have a look at the map, the first thing that you will see is that this area is completely shrouded in fog, because we need a map first. And you will get the map somewhere over here. Of course, I have explored everything already due to the cheat engine, but this area again is completely grayed out and you need a map for this. And this is where you get the map. You can actually see the map symbol somewhere over here when it's still unexplored, and we need to grab it first. So that's what we are going to do. You can simply follow this path. There are not that many secrets left or right, so you don't need to explore everything. What I would say though, it's a fairly big area. The fact that you can't use torrent is a bit of a downer. For lore reasons it's good, but for actual gameplay purposes it's kinda bad. I kinda wish they would allow us to use torrent once we've beaten either the area boss, which is over here, or the actual things that the game is warning us about. Basically, once we cleanse this area, then it would be nice if we could use torrent here to explore the rest, but that's sadly never the case. Over here, we're now following this path just straight south, and then slightly to the east. Here we have an NPC chilling over here. Of course, this one is hostile. Let me quickly turn on the HUD so that we can see the name, Maddening Hand. And this one is using the Frenzied Flame. What is it called? Seal, right? And the Maddening Hand, which is a weapon very similar to... Let me see where it is. One of the new types of weapons here, which is very similar to the Poisoned Hand that we got in Battlered. Maddening Hand, same thing as the Poison Hand, just with madness build-up and fire damage. Which is arguably the better version. Let's fight this one though. Just normal punching moveset. Let me see your incantations. Nothing special so far. Hey, here, let me use the other Maddening Hand. There, this move is a special move, which is pretty good because it instantly, on a normal player at least, instantly triggers Frenzied Flame. As all of the NPCs, this one has a bunch of, like, a lot of HP. So be ready for this one. Shouldn't be that hard. this time around, because you should have a lot of Shadow Tree fragments. He's definitely not as hard as the wild claw using dude that is over here in these woods. But let's continue. There are definitely few things about this area. Here we also have rats. This is one of the main enemies in this area. And there we already see one of the creatures that we are being warned about. But let's continue this path first. It's kind of unfortunate that there isn't a better weather type for this area, because this still feels somewhat suboptimal. I think I haven't gotten a good weather for this one, but it is what it is. Unfortunately enough, there are certainly some items lying around, even though they aren't yet that useful, but you don't know that yet, right? So you need to explore this place. And everything takes a fairly long time. Here, of course, we're getting our map at these stones. And in this church, we have a few, or at least one useful item lying around here. Some Shadow Tree fragments. 2 in fact. Let's see if there is more. Right, we get the Frenzied Flame perfume bottle, which is unfortunately quite useless now, because they've nerfed the perfume bottles. And then unfortunately enough, there are some areas here that are somewhat barren, where you most likely waste your time going there. We have a few Inquisitors here that are trying to contain the frenzy. But as you can see, they are afflicted themselves. They are part of whatever his name was, this dude that we fought last episode on the Forsaken Graveyard. They're part of his order. They were trying to contain this area, and I guess they were somewhat successful. They lost the Abyssal Woods, but the source of the Frenzied Flame is contained in these woods. There's only one way of getting out of here, which is through the catacombs, and they've locked them down. Up until we came along and killed them, I guess. But I mean, it was standing in our way, so come on. Let's see what this is. Not even worth it, is what it is. Some clarifying boluses. Holy shit, it's kinda hard to talk right now. So if we have a look at the map, it's kinda hard to make out the paths. But here and there are a few lanes, if we can call it. Like there's one over here. There should be one over here. And this one over here. Then this is the path we came from. Down here is another path. It's somewhat hard to make them out, but these... it's not really a river right here, right? It's more like a... I don't even know what you would call this. But there are a few ways here and there. So you might want to explore these. Maybe there's something interesting. Which is unfortunate. You're not really fighting that many enemies over here. There are, unfortunately, though, some somewhat useful items. There's a cookbook, for example, which I don't even remember where it is, and I don't have a map open where I can see where everything is. I think it's over here somewhere. Might be wrong though. And unfortunately you can't use torrent here. You can, however, climb on these land masses over here, hills, whatever this is called. Let's call them islands, like these islands in between the lanes. But you won't find that many useful things up here. It's also very hard, or not very hard, but somewhat tedious to traverse, because you constantly have to jump over small inconsistencies in the landscape here and there. But let's continue and go back over here, where we have seen the one strange being. And I think this might be even the wrong one. I mean, I'm saying the wrong one, but... or maybe not, we will see. No, that's... I think it's on both ends. But here's one of these creatures. Fairly far away. And they already look somewhat dangerous. It's a new enemy type, which is amazing. Hide yourself, make no sound, make not a sound. Quietly await your chance. Combat is not an option. Crouch in the undergrowth. Which is a thing. We have the hide mechanic, where you can sneak around. And you can hide in bushes like these, or in the undergrowth. These ones have good hearing, and they see fairly far away. You definitely will know if they notice you. And they're the best attempt at creating a stealth kind of level. Hidden in these undergrowths are, at certain points, special plants that will make sounds, where you have to be careful that you're not triggering them. Let me see if I can find one of these. Pretty sure, oh yeah, over there. Can already see these fairly obvious looking plants over here. And these will make sounds if you're getting too close. Yeah, like this. And it will alert these creatures. And it's pretty cool. They look like they're straight out of Bloodborne. And it's true, you can't hurt them. And they will continuously hunt you down. When they see you, they will apply frenzy to you constantly while they're looking at you. And they're trying to grab you with this move that they're doing. This is a grab. And it will basically damage you and frenzy you. And there's no way of hurting them. As you can see, it creates this illusory effect over here, this ripple effect around them. And they're completely immune to this type of damage. However, later on, you will see a message in the area that we will explore next episode, where it tells you that you can in fact defeat these guys, which is by parrying their grab attempt. And they will drop swollen grapes and they won't respawn. And the first one that you kill actually also drops a talisman, this one. the Aged One's Exaltation, which increases attack power when madness happens in the vicinity, which is basically the same thing as the Blood Lord's Exaltation or the Kindred of Rod's Exaltation, or also Saint Trina's Smile. Right, these things. When there is madness somewhere, like when you trigger them, for example, the madness by using this new weapon over here, which will most likely always trigger madness, at least on normal players, then you're getting a damage boost, which is pretty nice. And I would say the stealth mechanic is also kind of nice. I kind of wish, though, this is a bit more condensed. I kind of wish... Oh, here we got it. Not the first one that you kill, but the first one on one of these lanes. I'm not really sure how many there are, like maybe 4 or 5 or something like this. There were 2 in this lane, in the most southern lane. So let's continue. There's certainly another lane where you can find these creatures. And I kind of like how they've designed these lanes. I call them lanes because they kind of remind me of the lanes that you would find in a game like League of Legends, right? Where it's just one path. Let's see, more rats over here. And then we're basically in the middle right now. Somewhat in the middle where we can go to the other parts. Let's go over here. Which is this way. And see what is over there. We're now switching lanes basically. Going to the... I don't even know, is this another... It's kind of hard to discern where we are right now, to make out where we are. Because unfortunately enough, this area is so empty. I kind of wish... Because we can't use torrent here, I kind of wish that... this area is a bit smaller. Or that we can use torrent, but he will run away once he sees one of these frenzied creatures. Like the aged old ones, or whatever they're called. Or something in between. Like this area is definitely way too big for just walking around. Because usually, if you're like me, you like to explore everything. But then you might get lost here and there. The gameplay right here isn't really that exciting. Fighting all of these rats is getting kind of boring very fast. This way goes back to the site of grace that we've discovered the first time around. Let me go back quickly. Where is it? Oh, it's further south. Right. There's the site of grace. But let's continue this way, because there's definitely more on the northern part over here. Item-wise, that is. Then on the southern part. But there are definitely, if I remember correctly, there are 2 lanes here, which is this part. This lane over here, and then this down here, where we'll find the aged ones, or aged old ones, whatever. Or winter lantern, whatever you want to call them. Let's continue on this lane over here. There was a small Small break for me right here because I had to do something. But let's continue. On the northern part right here. There's another side of Grace. And it might be already over here. It's kind of hard to make out where the important parts are. Hide yourself, make no sound. Same messages as before for the northern lane, or maybe the top lane if we are talking in MOBA terminology. More inquisitors over here, and I think that's a good sign that we are at the right place. Usually when we have more interesting enemies, there is also better loot, or at least some loot. Oh wow, Shadow Tree Fragment, pretty good. There is a cookbook somewhere though. I'm not sure if it's here as well. Not that I can see it anyways, because as you know, cookbooks aren't being shown for me. It's definitely not a shame if you're having trouble finding things in this area to go to a website where you can find a map with all the items or something like that to get yourself some help, because honestly this area is a bit unfortunately a bit hostile to exploration. It's too open for the it's too open for not like that you the fact that you can't use torrent here is hurting this area a lot. If you're trying to parry these things and you're not getting the timing right, you definitely want to use equipment with a very high focus. You can, I'm not really sure, can you sort it by resistance maybe? Let's see, this is probably taking the sum of everything, right? This is not necessarily the item with the highest focus, just with the highest sum of all resistances. This one has pretty good focus. 99, pretty good too. Oh, it's the same one, right? Oh, this one even has 110. There's certainly a few armor pieces that you can use in order to boost your focus. Then definitely equip some clarifying boluses. Maybe eat some clarifying white cured meat or something like that to even further boost your focus. You can also use the, I think it's this shield, yeah, the Rift Shield, to parry these guys. Or at least have the Rift Shield in your other hand while you're trying to parry them with your preferred parry tool. Use some of the talismans that improve your focus, like the clarifying horn charm and then the molded necklace and so on. There are definitely quite a few items that you can use in order to boost your focus, so that you have more time. Because again, you are getting frenzied constantly while they're looking at you. And then if you're missing the parry, you're also constantly getting frenzied. Or getting frenzy build up or madness build up, so you might wanna have a high resistance to that. Even though resistance doesn't mean that you're taking less damage. Resistance just means that that it takes longer for the effect to take place. Now we're here at the second set. How many have we beaten so far? I honestly can't remember. Was there just one, or were there two already? Oh, there are definitely two right here. If you have two on your ass, you might be in danger. What you also might want to use is HP regeneration. If you have incantations, then you might want to use incantations like is it blessing? One of these blessings, which continuously restore your HP. Because if I remember correctly, you also take damage while they're looking at you. Not only will they inflict frenzy or madness, whatever, they will also constantly damage you, if I remember correctly. But as you can see, the parry window starts fairly early. Unfortunately enough, as I've said already, Torrent is still too frightened to be summoned. Even though you've vanquished all evil. Now, this right here, to me at least, looks like a significant place, right? Like there's water here, there we have these waterfalls. It looks like an area that there should be, like it looks like an area where there is something hidden. But I don't think there is, at least nothing that is that important that I can actually remember what there is. Even if you climb on these ramps that are placed here. Like if we go up these ramps, what will we find except a few more rats? Let's see if there's anything remarkable here. Sure, there might be maybe upgrade material here and there. But not even that. We have a glowing owl though. Or bird, whatever. Beast horn with these owls. Cool. They're dropping eggs. Hooray. We can craft stuff now. Isn't that amazing? I hope you like crafting, because I rarely utilize it in this game at least. Which is fine. But there's nothing here. Just a few rats, so this feels completely pointless. Why is there a ramp here? They could have just made this area inaccessible, or inaccessible, I should say. But no, you have access to it. There are a few enemies up there, but that's it. Nothing more. Behind these waterfalls, nothing. There's another ramp. I bet there is nothing either. At least I don't see anything from here. There's no hanging corpse or glow that draws my attention. There's nothing here. And I don't know why that is. We have a huge area like this, but all we have is atmosphere. And this atmosphere is being broken by the lighting, more likely than not. Because of the day-night cycle, at least in this area. I mean, this could have been one of the most intense or like memorable areas, but for me they kind of missed the mark. At least, right, of course for me the magic is destroyed or is gone already, if you know what I mean, like the typical Souls magic, right, where you're still exploring, you don't really know much about the game, you're new to it, and you find secrets, or you find out certain things, and you're proud of yourself that you've gotten the hint, right? You found the secret and whatnot, right? The great, I'm playing a game for the first time, and it's still, everything is new to me, and there are so many mechanics that I need to learn, or that are hidden, that I need to find out for myself. And right, there's this big mystery surrounding everything and all. But sadly that is already gone for me, so what's left is the level design and the inside, how everything works and how everything looks, and so on. And there's actually, funnily enough, something that I haven't known, that I've seen in a video like a week ago or something, that I haven't discussed so far. We are coming back to that at some point, but this spot kinda spikes the excitement a bit. Right, it sparks the excitement a bit more, because here we have to commit to a drop. Right, we came from the side of grace, at the divided falls, where there's no item. Then we decided to go south, and now we have this drop in front of us. Maybe there's another path over here, maybe you have to drop from there. Actually, let's have a look before we commit to this drop. Place a marker. You definitely might want to use markers in this area, otherwise you're getting lost or getting confused. Maybe you can even drop some rainbow stones on the ground. Let's see, yeah, I'm on the right path here. I'm definitely going to talk about this area a bit more in detail in another episode, or in a episode of a new series that I want to make. Which I want to call What Could Have Been, for example. Like, I really think that they went too soft in this area. And oh, there's the drop that we had to commit to, but not really, because there's nothing to commit to here. Where are we right now? Is this... Oh, this is a dead end. We're just getting some Eye of Yellow over here. Wasn't there another aged old one that we've seen from... Oh, it's over here, okay. Let's get... It's going to... Oh, it's not an aged old one, that's a... Inquisitor. Or a Hornsent, whatever. So there might be something here. Maybe there's an item hidden over here. No. Nothing. Or maybe there's something, I don't know. Maybe there's this cookbook that I can't see. But there's definitely something over here. This leads over to this place here. Inquisitor over here. This is where we potentially can drop down. There are more Inquisitors down there if we have a look. Quite a few. They're also indicating that we're getting closer to the area that we're searching down here, because, well, if you have seen the teaser trailer or the gameplay trailer, whatever, one of the trailers for this game, there was definitely this frenzied flame entity that we have to fight at some point, right? And because this area is themed after the Flame of Frenzy, then this is definitely the area where this entity must be lurking around somewhere, right? And of course, sometimes the teasers are spoiling certain things, but not really that much, right? They're telling you that this something is in the game, but where it is and what it's doing there and how you fight it, how you find it, it's still a mystery. Sure, so far there wasn't something. So far in the game, the frenzied flame wasn't really a topic, so this must be the area, right? And as you can see, this part over here, I've just moved around it, like from here to over here, where the wall is. Right, there's a wall here. And this small area is contained. Like there, over here, this area has been isolated over here. This was maybe the path, right? This is where we've seen more Inquisitors, but this path has been closed. And there might be the cookbook over here, so you might want to mark this place at this route. I think I've just found the cookbook over here. I haven't picked this up. I'm over here at this weird looking tree. Again. I don't know where I'm walking to. What I want to see though is over here fairly quickly if there are more of the winter lanterns. And if you're wondering why I call them winter lanterns, they're very reminiscent of an enemy that you can find in the game Bloodborne. In Bloodborne they had a similar mechanic to Frenzy, to Madness, which is called Frenzy. That's why I'm calling Madness Frenzy and so on. Where it's basically the bar is full and you take a chunk of damage, right? Similar to Madness. But then we had these enemies that we also had to parry with our gun. Yes, in Bloodborne you had to parry enemies with a gun, which is a weird use of a gun, but makes for a fun gameplay loop, I think. Even though it's quite strange that a gun deals so much less damage. Whatever, I'm not here to talk about Bloodborne right now. But let's quickly have a look at this isolated area. I want to go back to this part. We're even moving away from it. That's not good. I definitely want to go down here. Yeah, to the other side. We have to drop down there somewhere. I think this is our path right here. Maybe this is. I mean, it looks quite deep. Let's go over here and see. This is where we can potentially drop down. I mean, potentially, this is where we can drop down. And It kind of looks like there was a... Like this area has been isolated, right? At least it looks like that. This is where we found the Eyes of Yellow over here. And then there is this cave-in of this structure. Let's see if we can get to this place from these hills over there. That might be a possibility. In the distance over here we see a mansion though. We see the outlines, the contours of a building. And this is where we want to go eventually. But let me quickly explore this area a bit further. This is a way where you can get down here without taking maybe fall damage. I think this might be the official path down here. Quote unquote official. I mean, it's up to the player how they get here. But you would imagine that this place, of all of them, is a bit better protected. But I guess if all of your inquisitors are getting mad, then it's kind of hard to hold a position. Yeah, this is where you can drop down, where you can ultimately get out of this place again. There's certainly a part of this area that I'm missing, where I'm missing something. But I can't really find it. It's also marked by some inquisitors. Shoo! I kind of misclicked here. Almost fell down the cliff down there. It's kind of hard to make out, but there should be. I'm not really sure where. Maybe over here. There should be a place at some point where you had to drop down from a certain area where there are also inquisitors. What gives? Let's just jump down here. Well, it looks very similar to this place that I'm looking at over there. Should be able to survive this, right? Yeah. And I'm searching for that place a bit because there's still a few things I want to talk about. It's kind of hard to navigate this place. It's kind of hard to know where everything is. And if I'm not finding it right now, then it'd be like that. So nothing special. It's like an area where we have to drop down, and then there are a few inquisitors, but there's also an item that you can pick up of not really that much significance. So if I'm not finding it right here, it doesn't really matter. Or maybe it's just this place over here. This is where we came from. This is where you had to commit to, right? So maybe it is in the direction of my marker there, more central to this place. But I think they haven't really committed to a special area. To the special area. They should have committed harder to this mechanic that they have with the stealth. Oh, and there's an item here at this tree. If you're wondering, there's an item over here. Upgrade item. It's kind of random that we find this over here. I'm not really a fan of the item of the loot placement in this area. Not at all. It's much too random. I don't know, there's not really much here, but they should have committed harder to this place. If we remember back to a flawed game like Dark Souls 2 that many people despise. But what I must say, like, sure, you might think Dark Souls 2 is jank or unfair, which is definitely true. It's getting foggy all of a sudden here. Oh, it's this part. It's the dangerous part over here, where it's getting foggy for no reason at all. This is normal to this area, by the way. There's another dangerous one over here. Oh, let's see, can we ride on Torrent? No, it's still fried now, unfortunate. Like, we're just walking through the fog over here. This is something they maybe not should have done more often in this place, but like, this is one of the things that I mean. Like, this is what I want. You don't know where to go. Like, this feels like commitment, right? But the rest of this area is no commitment. If we remember back to Dark Souls 2, these it kind of reminds me of Frigid Outskirts. Like, the Frigid Outskirts are a if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's like a very open area, very unusual for a Dark Souls title. Very open area where you have to, it's a snow area where you have to walk through the snow area, and every now and then, or very frequently, like very frequently, there's going to be this blizzard where you can't see anything. And during this blizzard, there are these reindeer things that spawn, which is extremely annoying. They're extremely annoying to fight. They take quite a lot of damage, but it's a very extreme area. Right, and then at the end of this long walk through the blizzard, you had your boss fight, which is bullshit. But at least they've, in my mind, the good thing about this area is that they've tried something and they went all out with it. Sure, there could have been some improvements, but there was the idea and they committed to it. And this only feels like a half commitment to me. Like, we have a few sneak passages, but they could have been more condensed, in my opinion. This whole area could have been smaller, or at least somewhat more organized. You don't really know where you're going, right? Right, I'm searching right now. I'm searching this one place that exists somewhere. Maybe I've already found it and I just don't know it yet. Like, I've been there and I don't know it, right? Like, because I don't recognize it. This is the area where it doesn't matter. Let's go to the mansion. So, pretty great area, I must say. At least lore-wise, but the execution of this gimmick and the whole feel of this place could have been much more intense. Like, I kind of wish this area would have been more intense, right? Like the Frenzied Flame is. This feels like a half commitment, or not even half, like very low, very safe area. Like, we have these enemies that are almost invincible. We have this horror aspect. But then there are so many floors in here, and it's way too big. So now that I've hopefully killed all of the aged old ones, right? Even the one in the fog, which is arguably the most intense one, right? I still can't summon Torrent. Torrent is still afraid. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. But it's not all bad, right? First time going through this place is fairly intense. And very atmospheric. Like all these messages on the ground. That is peak. That was the peak for me. Like you don't know where you are. And I had the big luck, I should say, that I got in this area during the nighttime. Because during daytime it's not that. The atmosphere is kinda is dropping, right? It's not as atmospheric all of a sudden, but during nighttime it looks much better. Especially with a bit of fog. I kinda wish the fog was a bit more dense, maybe darker. Not necessarily more dense, but darker. Darker than this. And a bit more, like, more mystique. Maybe also a bit more color in here. Like more of the frenzy part. But we're now in the mansion. At the haunted house. Or at least what looks like a haunted house. In front of here we have a bunch of decapitated corpses that got stuck with this with this stone or whatever it is. I think it's supposed to be a similar material or same material as the barbed staff spear is made out of. Whatever material this is. Let's see if it says what it is. Great stuff of the Elden Inquisitor. Golden barbs. Holy damage. Yeah, it's not really telling us what material this is. But it's supposed to be the same material. Potentially it's warding off Frenzied Flame. Or maybe it's just used by the Inquisitors or by the what is it called? Not church institution, but the religious institution of this area, or of this game, whatever. But it's definitely a unique sight here, and I kind of appreciate it. Still, I kind of wish it was darker and you could see, maybe so that you can't really see that much sky, or maybe the trees aren't that big, or it's more dense, like the roof of the, I mean, there's not really a roof, but the canopies are more dense and maybe rooted or something. And now we're standing in front of this place. That's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm not going inside. This is where I will end the episode. Yeah, this is where I will end the episode. Still already thinking about the thumbnail. But yeah. To summarize. Very big area. Fairly empty. They've tried to implement a cool stealth mechanic. Somewhat they've succeeded. Horror elements are there, which is amazing. Can be fairly intense. Most intense area is somewhere over here where there's this foggy area. Sadly, they haven't committed more to this horror aspect. Because They could have done so much more. Like, sure, this is not a horror game, but how can you make this area even more horrifying or intense? First of all, sound design. Make a more creepy sound design. Sure, we have this choir-like background music right here. This howling that you constantly hear. But maybe sound design of enemies, maybe make the whole area darker or the visibility worse. Maybe you have to use a torch and all you can see is maybe some orange glows left or right. Definitely make this area a bit more, like a lot smaller. Maybe not in size, but like I would appreciate if I couldn't walk on these islands. I would appreciate if I could only maybe walk in certain areas, like in these lanes. And then these cliffs are just too high to reach. There's no ramp there. Maybe you have like creatures looking from atop of these cliffs down on the player. You can't reach them. Maybe they're not really entities. Maybe they're just a bunch of orange glowing eyes. Maybe of the birds, right? Orange. But you don't see the bird, you just see the eyes because the fog is that dense up here, right? Make everything a bit more claustrophobic and stuff. And then the stealth areas, or the stealth parts with the winter lanterns, with the aged old ones or whatever. Now all of a sudden these are more intense because there's not that much space, right? Maybe create a new enemy type other than this one. I think it's the, together with the Inquisitor, it's the only enemy type in here that is new. The Inquisitors aren't really a horrific enemy, I would say. Certainly the aged old ones are the kicker here. They are the entities that have the most horror aspect to them. You can't harm them all of a sudden, your weapons are useless, you have to stealth around them, otherwise you will die. You don't know that you can parry them. Sure, if you've played Bloodborne, you can draw some... you can certainly draw some ideas from there, like you can... Sure, in Bloodborne I could parry them, if you actually knew that, and then maybe I can do this in this game as well. But the fact is, if you're trying to run from them, like if they detect you and you're running from them, then you better have a lot of healing on your hands, because while you certainly can run away from them for a long time, you will take damage and you have to heal against them. If you don't know that you can parry them, you better stealth around them. You can also, what would have been kind of nice if they would give you some, where are they? Some shadow shard arrows that are lying around, because these can be somewhat useful as well. They're creating a sound on the point of impact, so you can direct their attention maybe to a certain spot and then you sneak past them, but you're not really thinking about that, because Elden Ring is not a stealth game. Sure, you can stealth in this game, but so far you probably haven't even done that yet, right? At least the majority of players are not stealthing in this game. So why not give the player a few of these items, right? So you can tell them, hey, this item can be useful here. Because usually if you're not using an item, you forget about it. And I certainly have forgotten about this for a long time. Maybe until the third playthrough or playthrough of this area, and then I thought, oh, maybe I can use this one. It would be kind of cool if it would work. But yeah. I don't want to make the video that I still want to make about this area pointless, because I'm giving you all of my ideas already for this area. But these are just parts of it that I would improve about on this area. Otherwise, it's fairly thematic. It fits the theme. They haven't committed too hard to this horror aspect, unfortunately, at least for me. But let me know what you think about this area. Do you like how it is right now? Do you also think they should have gone harder on the horror aspect or this frenzied flame aspect? Or do you think it's fine how it is? Maybe you like the open area. Maybe you even like that you are forced to walk. I certainly do like the idea of it, but the ramifications I don't like. The fact that it's not really fun to go through here because it's such a big area and you have to walk everywhere and then there is nothing. It's kind of disheartening, really. It's gonna, like, it makes me not want, my feeling is I don't want to explore this area because there's nothing here, right? So maybe give the incentive to explore this area, or at some point, maybe after defeating all of the aged ones, now we finally have the opportunity to ride on Torrent. Or maybe after defeating the boss that lies or remains in this area, in the mansion. Definitely let me know what you think about this area. And that's it from me. Goodbye.